Okay, I have hat hair from golf. Whatever. So, 3 years ago, FBI Director Kash Patel appeared on a couple of podcasts and was, openly stating that he wanted to become FBI Director if Donald Trump was reelected. And that if he was elected, he said he would do it on day one, that he would close FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C. and reopen it as a monument or a museum of the deep state. And, normal people responded to that with great derision and laughter. And what is wrong with this guy? So he has announced yesterday that he's going to be closing the FBI headquarters. There are currently about 1,500 agents who work in FBI headquarters, and he's like, that's not where the crime happens. So we're going to send all of those agents to where the crime happens. But he was not very specific in that regard. So I would be curious as to where Kash Patel thinks all the crime is. But, the building's been up and running and in use for about 50 years, give or take. It's an extremely ugly building. Donald Trump, during his first term, said more than once that it's on prime real estate. It's located on Pennsylvania Avenue in between the White House and the Capitol. And Donald Trump apparently, on at least one occasion, tried to buy the building from the government because he wanted to develop the site, given its prime location. So, we could have a Trump Tower, D.C., halfway between the White House and the Capitol. Wouldn't that be a hoot? But, it's like most of the people who work at FBI headquarters are career people, career agents, career staff who've been there for a long time. And so it's just like, imagine that you don't get a layoff notice, you instead get a transfer notice. I know you've lived in the Washington, D.C. area for 15 years or 20 years. Congratulations, we're transferring you to Nebraska. And, how many additional agents and personnel are the FBI going to lose because of this? And Donald Trump obviously bears a huge grudge to the FBI. One, because they investigated January 6th. They investigated all of his people and participated in the prosecution of his people. And they worked with Jack Smith in his investigation that resulted in Donald Trump being indicted for January 6th and for trying to overturn the 2020 election. The FBI obviously worked with prosecutors and the DOJ in pursuing the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. The FBI, multiple agents from the FBI executed a search warrant on Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump is still incredibly bent out of shape about that. He feels like his home was polluted with these people and that they invaded his privacy, regardless of the fact that he had thousands of classified documents at Mar-a-Lago that did not belong to him, that he had lied to the government about having those documents, and that he obstructed the FBI and the DOJ investigation into retrieving those documents. And so DOJ got a search warrant, the FBI executed that search warrant, and they searched his home. He's like, they raided my house. So Donald Trump hates the FBI. He absolutely hates the FBI. That is specifically why he appointed Kash Patel to be the director of the FBI, because Kash Patel hates the FBI too. And, so this is just going to be kind of that pick picking away at the edges kind of thing. Although this is a little bit more than that, shutting down the FBI's main headquarters in Washington, D.C. And it's just like these people are just going to get notices that they're being transferred all over the country. Congratulations. We are now assigning you to the FBI office in Anchorage, or Phoenix, or North Dakota or something. And it's just more, they're couching it in terms. I mean, Kash Patel said that the building is not safe for FBI personnel. He did not elaborate on what he meant by that, but he said that the building is not safe, and so he's going to close it. And it's just more of the dismantling of the executive branch. It's more of Donald Trump's kind of low-key vengeance against the FBI for having investigated him and having investigated January 6th and participated in the prosecution of January 6ers and participated in the prosecution of him. And I think that this announcement right now is just meant to placate the MAGA base. Because remember that, I think it was in 2022, Kash Patel published a book called Government Gangsters, and it was about the deep state. And, an appendix to the book was Kash Patel's list of members of the deep state that he felt should be immediately arrested and prosecuted and jailed. And he's been the director of the FBI for, coming up on 115 days. And he has not investigated, arrested, or prosecuted a single person on that list. And the MAGA base is extremely unhappy about that. It has not been lost on the MAGA base that Kash Patel, once he got this position as director of the FBI, has not followed through with the commitments that he made over the last couple of years as far as what he would do and when he would do it, as far as arresting and prosecuting these people like Hillary Clinton, James Comey, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, the Biden crime family, any number of people, Christopher Wray, Christopher Krebs, he said that he was going to arrest and prosecute all of these people, and he has not done that at all. He's consumed with going to pro sporting events, going to UFC events. His 5-day-a-week daily briefing for the FBI director has now been whittled down to 2 days a week, because most days he just doesn't show up for work. And which, again, it's like with all of these people, you can circle back to competence. And there is not one single characteristic that Kash Patel possesses which would render him competent or qualified to be the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And it's their incompetence that is their undoing every single time. And now his incompetence is on full display for the MAGA base, because he's not doing what he said he would do if he got the job. And they see it. They see it. He can't hide it from them, and they're pissed.